Morning.
Yeah, Dave?
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do we have a motion for approval of the minutes of the last meeting?
I'll motion to approve.
A second?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? We'd like to make some introductions of the new members or people that will be joining us on the commission. We have a new BDC council liaison who is she here?
I don't see her.
I don't see her on Zoom either.
Oh.
I think I hear her voice coming up the stairs though. So we'll skip that one for now and go to the new BDC staff liaison. Hi.
Members, you can see in the room, I believe Renee Tyler has joined us, our Deputy City Manager of Community Vitality. I'll let her introduce ourselves and perhaps we can go in and do introductions as well for new folks. Renee and I will have a long transition across the way, so you'll be with both of us for probably 6 months to a year at least. So, but I'll let her introduce herself and then you all can introduce yourself as well.
So good morning, I'm Renee Tyler. As he said, I am the new Deputy City Manager for Community Vitality, and what falls under me is Public Works, Planning, and Business Traction. So I look forward to getting to know you all and working with you and just learning more about needs, desires, wants.
Hey. Okay, sorry, Renee, you said that your duties are public work?
Public Works, Planning, and Business Attraction.
Welcome to the city.
Thank you.
Where do you come to us from?
Most recently, I was a Senior Policy Director for Greater St. Louis. And prior to that, I was a City Manager for Fulton, Missouri. Prior to that, I was with the City of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Dubuque, Iowa, and my first municipal service was with the City of Little Rock, Arkansas.
You are a Midwest expert. Excellent. Okay, we want to circle back around to Jamie real quick, our new BDC council liaison.
Yeah, sorry, great impression, I'm late. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, everybody. I'm Jamie Hasselmeyer. I'm new on council and I'm going to be a liaison going forward. Tammy, are we asking for like a report from council or how do you?
We do later on in the session, yeah. So, and then we also have a new public affairs and engagement manager.
Yeah,
Tiara
that's,
Thomas. Sorry, is she here?
no, I don't see her.
Okay. Sorry. Tiara Thomas will be joining us in this meeting. She had some things this morning, some things to finish up as well. So she'll be coming in as we go through things, probably after the closed session.
Okay. Do we want to go around and introduce ourselves to everyone or do we want to wait till Tiara gets here?
Why don't we do it now if we can? That's fine.
Okay. My name is Tammy Boehm. I am a business owner in Webster Groves. I own Maypop Coffee and Garden Shop.
Lindsay Thomas, office manager, Webster Window and Door.
Mike Pincus, I guess I'm a citizen at large, but Federated Insurance, it's all commercial insurance.
Tim Delante, owner of Mash Fit by Zoe's Attic here in Old Webster.
Cool. I'm Eric Bowering. I'm a citizen at large as well, but I work for Sherwin-Williams Paint Company.
And then people online.
Yeah, people online?
I'm Julia. I own Descendant Boutique in the Crossroads District.
Hi, I'm Jerry Rosen. I'm the Executive Director for the Webster Groves, Shrewsbury, Rock Hill, and Brentwood Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Stacy Swiderska with Paisley Boutique in Old Webster.
I'm Stephanie Skees. I'm the Director of Events and Curated Collections for the Novel Neighbor.
I'm Mark Spikerman. I'm an attorney at Gilmore and Bell, and we work with numerous community improvement districts throughout the state of Missouri.
Great.
You know me.
Okay, so the first order of business today is to Do you have that language?
I do, yep. And so just real quick, Madam Chair, the Community Improvement District conversation, staff does recommend that we go into executive closed session for that. We've prepared for that. That is the recommendation of the city attorney as well. That is your decision as a commission if you want to. I'll put the motion up on the screen so you can see it. And the reason it's regarding our communications with the attorney and the potential boundaries and real estate issues associated with the Community Improvement District. So it's up to the commission's discretion though, if it chooses to or not. So 2 seconds and should be on the screen for you right there.
Okay. So I'd like to go ahead and make the motion that we go into executive closed session under Missouri State Statute 610.21, attorney-client privilege communications, and Missouri State Statute 610.21 real estate. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
And a vote, all in favor? We have 4 live, how many online? I can't see, there's like a bar at the top. Can you
Oh,
see
let me stop the share here. I'll stop it for y'all so you can see. There you go. There you go. I see Julia, Stephanie, Jerry.
So is that 3?
Julia's got her hand up. Jerry has his physical hand up.
Yep.
Okay.
Stephanie does.
So we have
Stephanie does as well.
4 here and 3 online. Are there any opposed? I don't see any hands raised. So the
Good.
motion carries. So we are now in closed session.
That's correct. Yep. So I will need, Dave knows, Sergeant Flannery, I think you'll need to be out for this one, just so you know. And then we'll go to the new Zoom. So Renee or Steve in the room, Steve's going to move that and I'll move folks on Zoom to your other link. So if you can go to the other link that was in your email.
Okay. Is everybody back yet?
Yep, they're just, Jerry's coming in as a panelist here, so he should be.
Okay, great. Okay, we're back to the open session now of the portion of our meeting today, and we'd like to welcome Tiara Thomas.
Here, we can pop up to the table so we can all see you.
Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Tiara Thomas, and I'm the Public Affairs Communication Manager for Webster Groves. I started May 31st, so I'm headed on to my first month here. I'm excited to work with you all. My background is primarily community development with emphasis on economic and workforce development. So I'm excited to see where I can be of service to you all and what you guys do here on the BDC. And so if you need anything, I can share my information around, but I'm very sure you can find it. Welcome. Thank you.
So will you be attending meetings on a regular basis, or are we just kind of introducing you and we'll, from time to time we might see you?
Yes.
I've asked Tiara to join us at least for the next 6 to 8 months every month so we can pass off and can hear from you all about the Explore Webster Groves brand and the importance of that, and well, and all these conversations that are as part of that marketing world and such. So she has some great ideas, and I know Stephanie, many of you all across the whole body on a list for Tiara to connect with as well about your thoughts and on marketing and those kinds of things as well. So
Yeah, so it'll be great to see maybe what your vision is for that going forward once you get a little bit more into it.
What do you think about it so far? So far, I think, first of all, Webster is just such a cool place. We've just been walking around and exploring. I love the different business districts. Everyone seems to have their own kind of personality. And so my plan also is just to make sure that we play on those personalities and that we expand that outside of Webster a lot more. Connecting you guys. I know you guys are doing a partnership with Explore STL, correct? Right. And so one thing that we talked about is making sure that it's the right platform and that it's being utilized to its fullest potential in a way that's helpful for you guys, but also for the businesses as well. So that's something I'm definitely wanting to take a look at. As far as data for the marketing goes, and if it's worth to keep using, or if there's things in that partnership that we can expand on. And also working with some of our media partners and how we can create special deals for you all as businesses individually to expand your own marketing outside of the city also too. And so those are some initial thoughts outside of getting some ambassadors in, maybe some high school kids that are interested in social media that can pop by businesses and do social media marketing, kind of some TikTok videos, reels about food and shops and different events that you guys have. Just increase manpower and also just usability of social media, because 97% of all consumers use social media to find stores, shop, and engage in businesses. So
I'm part of the 3%.
well, as a business owner, I'm gonna try to figure out how to get you on there. Because it is, as far as expanding business marketing, is a huge part of growing and sustaining a business, at least in today's world post-COVID. So
Are you from St. Louis?
I am not. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I was in Nashville, Tennessee for about 5 years. I worked in the mayor's office there in community development. I moved to St. Louis in November. I was the PIO for the comptroller of St. Louis up until the end of May. And then
Great. And one of the other local initiatives that's kind of come up on our radar lately is the STL Made, the Love Local STL. That one, we've been trying to kind of get some efforts behind. I think we have a question from Julia. Her hands up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, are you the one that's behind those videos that came out in the past couple weeks, like the Juneteenth video?
Yes.
I love them. They were amazing. Well
Thank
done.
you.
I was like, you can tell there's a new person and it's looking good. So it's, yeah, it's exciting.
I agree. I could notice there was, a fresh looking and
I
feel.
missed those.
It's okay. We're gonna work on that.
Tammy, she did not get to hear who everybody is.
Oh, do we want to go back through and reintroduce ourselves real quick?
No.
We'll skip it.
Don't go over you.
Yeah, I've already put myself
Tim,
in
a
the
part
hole.
of the 3%.
I'm Tammy. I own Maypop Coffee and Garden Shop.
Lindsay Webster, window and door.
I'm Mike Pincus, citizen at large, but Federated Insurance. So commercial insurance.
Tim Delaney, Zoe's Attic, Mastered by Zoe's Attic.
Eric Bowering, citizen at large.
Julia, you're on first. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Julia Lenig, the owner of Descendant Boutique.
Nice to meet you.
Is anybody else on there?
Jerry, I'm the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce.
Stephanie, I'm the director of events for the Novel Neighbor.
Is Stacy not on anymore?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Stacy with Paisley Boutique.
Great. Okay. All right. Next on our agenda is the Blue Dot QR map.
Thanks, members. I've been working with Tiara. We've obviously been getting her up to speed. We have very draft collateral items. I expect them to be done next month. They needed some rework after we got back from our first design. They were not what I hoped they would be. Tiara has some great ideas, so we will have them for you next month. I do apologize. And then also, just while we're on the topic of business directory, we are working through finalizing getting it up on the website. There's been some hiccups along the way, but we will have it up hopefully within the week to next week, fully public. It's available. People can go to the link and get to it. And we've seen some businesses do that as we put things out, but it's not on our website yet.
Okay. And the Business Coffee Subcommittee, anything to report?
We need to get our language together for the email, so. We'll get that done on our agenda, then we'll get an email blast out. And then we'll have a meeting shortly after we pull together our CID stuff.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to compare and contrast that economic development sales tax for the coffee too, so people can understand all the options that are out there to us.
I have a quick question. I apologize. Can you give me the date of that next coffee?
September 18th.
Thank you, Fran.
At the rec center, 8:30 to 10:30.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, and I know the subcommittee is going to do this, but maybe we have a quick conversation about the coffee. I know the details are worked out, but if you can start to give us some sense of what options you want in terms of scope of a district, if you want us to pull Old Webster, just like Zeta Dell's sales tax, if you want some of those numbers, if you want numbers behind it, we'll need a little time to sift the businesses to look at their tax records to give you a sense of what we'd be looking at. So if the committee could add that to their list of what comparators they want us to have up and researched.
Julia, do you have any kind of report from the CID subcommittee? Were you going to try to have any sort of meeting with them before the next coffee?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up today. I think we should have a follow-up meeting now that we've had this new information. Hopefully, in the next few weeks.
I think that could help inform what the information would be that we'd need for the copy. Do you think?
Yeah, we can definitely iron that out in that meeting. So depending on how quickly I can pull everybody together, I would like to meet as soon as next week, but we'll see how fast other people can.
Give you a quick sense as you all think about the economic development sales tax, a citywide half-cent sales tax. You can estimate, rough estimations, 1.4 million. So 20% of that, which is going to be what, $280,000, is available to that marketing aspect, which is a large number, but that still leaves 1.1 essentially on the table on what you're going to use that for. And that's got to be, there's very specific purposes in the ED tax that has to be applied to. So now you're thinking of what are you going to do streetscape? You're going to have some physical projects in that. So there's a trade-off there to go to that citywide model. Now you've got to come up with some real big projects that are going to pull out of that fund. So just to give you a sense, but I'll get you the information from the ED tax from Gilmore Bell. We have it.
Okay, and could you say that again, what the sales tax increase, would that be a half cent?
If it's a half-cent sales tax, there's no, you can do a quarter and then a half. It's just a half-cent sales tax under state law. So that's 1.4 to 1.5 million is the collections in Webster Groves. And we know that number because we have a quarter-cent fire sales tax. So we can know that number and tell you exactly what a half cent would be. That tax, as the attorney said, about 20% can be used towards the marketing side. So I didn't want to give you a sense of what that revenue potential is for the ED sales tax. There is a board for that tax and such. And so I'll give you the language from Gilmore Bell so you can see some of those details.
Stacy's got her hand up. Oh, Stacy's got her hand up.
Yeah, I don't know if this would be helpful, but I'm curious because, the Old Webster has a taxing district. Well, so does everywhere else. But is there a way to see, I don't know if this would be helpful to anybody else, but is there a way to see, or if you could present to us or show us how much money each district gets for, when we have the Old Webster taxing district meeting, we have a budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see all the districts' budgets of how much money they can allocate. Because I only know Old Webster's. Crossroad has a meeting as well as we do, right?
So yes. And so I can do that. That's easy. It's everyone has a different revenue amount. That's in our budget report right now, but I'll pull it out and send you all. If you look in the quarterly budget update, it's there, but I'll send you all the budgets for all three business districts. They're public. So it's about, for Old Webster, I think the revenue total is about 80,000 some. And then you have Old Orchard is in the 60 range, I believe. And then Crossroads is about 20,000. That's again, the property tax and the business licenses. So.
How much is made in profit off permits and fees every year from the city for building costs and stuff that the citizens pay?
What
does that funding go towards?
Goes towards the general fund, essentially pays for the planning and development department. So it's about probably close to $1 million, and the department's about a $900,000 cost. So that's general revenue.
So just for scale, what is the city's overall budget?
$22 million in the general fund. That's general fund. This year's budget is 46 million because that has a big chunk of the bonds for the Destination WG. So we call that the all funds budget. That number fluctuates if you're doing bigger projects. So when you look at the operating, that's the general fund, it's 22 million.
Julia has her hand up again.
I'd like to just touch base with everybody here. I don't know if this is speaking out of turn, but before we go to subcommittee, and I know a few of you are on that subcommittee, but we also have people who are not on the BDC on that subcommittee. So before we go and report to them, I'd like to get like a baseline understanding from all of us, almost like a recap of what we just heard, just so we're all on the same page. Didn't he pretty much just tell us that a citywide SID is not likely? Yeah.
That was what I took out of it.
That's
Okay.
I don't think it's feasible. I mean, based on
Right.
what he said.
It's not.
Also, like, we haven't come up, there's no greater goal or idea or plan that's been specific enough to present and bring to voters and stuff, unless that
So
is
do we
something that the city knows and isn't talking about yet.
do we even need to continue with the subcommittee? I mean, or should we just report to them that the One Webster CID subcommittee is not even feasible anymore, and we can just continue to educate districts and areas on how they can create their own CIDs?
I agree.
That's what I think, yeah.
I think that it could be useful though, like, and so the choices still are before us. Do we want to try to focus and go forward on like an economic development tax, sales tax? That would be one, and would unite all of Webster and have some funding in there that could be used across the board for all of the businesses and the business areas and everything else. I think that it could also be useful to have information. I don't know if it's possible to pull it out, like what would, these sales kind of bits be for the different areas? Like if it was increased by, let's just say 1%, because that's the limit on CID. So for example, Zeta Del, our area, has nothing. So if we were to look at sales tax, what sales tax is brought in from that area? And so what would that mean? I think we're still kind of broadly educating folks, and that there's still value in having a group together where we can share that, and then they can decide whether or not they want to share with peers and, investigate things in these different ways. But I think at the coffee, for sure, we should highlight the two options available and see where the interest lies. But if people aren't educated on what that means, then they're not going to know how to give us feedback on what they might want to see.
Right. So maybe this.
That's not feasible.
I'm sorry, I missed it. What?
Oh, not a Walmart super center in the middle of Webster, it's just, no one's gonna vote for that. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, it's only an available option in some of these individual pockets is what it seems like. And I think that's okay to share with people, but I don't know how much more time we need to spend on it.
Mhm.
I agree. Also, I'm thinking about the people who are on the subcommittee, who they are in their minds, they're on this subcommittee because they're looking for that unifier, One Webster. So I think talking about that sales tax, the economic development option, or what else that could be what that group is. But before we switch what the group is, I just wanted to touch base with everybody here. Or do we just demolish the group and we just handle it?
Could the group just change into from SID to something that makes more sense?
Like
Or
one
what-
web
I guess,
or exploratory district groups. Because I do think there are like Zeta Del, you know, there are people who are interested of how do I make my own district then, or how do I do that? And I think as the BDC, it is kind of our job to show them, or it'd be a nice service of us to do that, to help them educate. But
I was actually raising my hand to ask about that. Is it possible to have, have those other districts if they or have those other business areas form districts that
I think so. Yeah.
we only have
Well,
3?
So, but the way that it's structured right now is people are paying it as the business owner as a tax. And so what we're talking about with CIDs is that we would be looking at it from a sales tax perspective, which is the people that use our community that are outside of our community would be helping to fund the improvements in the experience.
Yes, but if you're in your own district and you have a district, which you currently are not in, if you do have a district, then you can go and create your own SID, right?
Yes.
Doesn't need to be a district.
But
just
you're
say-
unable to do that if you don't have a district.
No, you
So-
don't have to have a district to do that. You just have to have a continuous area. And then you go around to the property owners and then you make a SID.
So yes, then the fundamental question then becomes for Zeta Del. I'll just use you, sorry, Tammy, I'm going to use you as an example. What size of scale do you get, right? Do you have enough sales tax volume there that in collecting, if it's only $20,000 a year, does that give you any volume then to market that district or even to do a physical improvement in terms of size? I mean, Crossroads, to give you an example, that's at least, take the city's contribution aside, but between Director Tyler, Deputy City Manager Tyler and myself, we've talked about probably $200,000 to $300,000 probably just for the streetscape, the city's side of the streetscape, in the Crossroads district. Imagine, even though Zeta Del's smaller, that's, still probably $100,000 for light poles, for, decorative trash cans and such like that. So, I mean, none of those costs are cheap. And how do you scale enough out of what district is drawn if you are not flagpoling? That's the fundamental thing I come back to is you can do a lot more with a SID if you flagpole, but that's going to be, can it pass the political smell test, but also then the litigation test if it is challenged. And that's fundamentally something for you and the council to sort of talk about. If that is an area that you want to see, we can easily draw Lockwood to connect Old Orchard, and we can draw Big Bend to connect Crossroads. We could take the 3 districts we have right now and I think connect them, but you're going to end up flagpoling through some of that. So
I would just like to go down like the path of least resistance. But that's just me.
remember, an economic development sales tax, you're talking, probably 10,000 voters on a sales tax initiative.
And that would be similar to like the Prop W, right?
Right. Yep. So.
Okay.
I just don't know if people are gonna approve anything after just approving the Prop W. You know what I mean?
I think you just have to have kind of like Prop W. It was very clear what the funds were envisioned for. And so with an economic development sales tax, you would have to be super clear on what that vision is. And even in a CID, to get people to want to it just takes a lot of effort and everything too, is like if you're going to pull something together.
But what is the vision?
That's what
We need to define it.
we couldn't figure out, we had to figure out what the limitations and what the rules and the structure was before we can look at what that vision might be and what the funds could be used for.
People sitting at this table, like, what are your guys' vision?
That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, to have better control over the things we want to unite Webster with, to take it off the city's plate.
Well, or just to even have a United Webster in
Yeah.
general. I mean, that was the driving force of the BDC for like over a decade now, was to try and find a way to unite Webster. And if it really is through the vehicle of an ED, an economic development sales tax, then maybe that's where we shift our learning focus and energy.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and then, now that we know what a CID is, then, the other areas can pursue it or not, and we can help them with education and support that they need. But, as far as like potential improvement in projects and things like that, I mean, Zeta Del is nothing. We don't have trash cans, light bulbs, anything, so there's like simple little things like that that would enhance the pedestrian experience there and businesses or whatever. We need parking issue, we have parking issues. How can we solve that?
If you make it into a district, would that not help with that? So you can make sure that money is being allocated correctly to those improvements?
I can't see that the property owners in that area, a lot of them are trying to figure out succession plans or transition, things like that. They're not going to want and approve to form into a district where they're going to be additionally taxed. That's not the process and the mindset that they're at career-wise.
Wait, okay, so the districts are additionally taxed, right? Crossroads, Old Webster, Old Orchard, to be able to pay for improvements. What I hear from you is that that district doesn't want to pay an additional tax for improvements.
Well, they're not in the mindset of how do we grow this business and do all these things. The mindset is more, transitioning their business. Do we, is somebody going to buy my business? Is somebody going to inherit my business? Am I going to need to sell and things like that? They're not in the how do we grow the district.
Well,
We're
we're
in an evolution process.
they're gonna sell it for more if they would jump on and.
There's a lot of things that would be more if they would jump on, but
Right.
That's.
We want to set something up to be able to present that and show them why being a part of a district might be helpful, or at least give the option.
Can I jump in real quick and just kind of back up a little bit to Julia's question? And, just holding a mirror back up to this, the last 90 minutes or so. It feels like we've received a good education in terms of what the SID offers and operationally what, hurdles we need to go through and such. But what I'm feeling is to kind of lift ourselves up a little bit higher and maybe develop a strategic plan that encompasses all these different food groups that we're talking about. And, I don't think it would take a long time to be able to identify it, but to kind of wrap it up, into, let it be a proposition or forget about a proposition, maybe just a vision that the commission can all agree on, and then decide, okay, this is worthy of that path and the hurdles going forward to, try to get this to a vote.
I mean, I think we should pursue looking at economic development tax and what to do with those dollars, because we can't have a good conversation with it if we don't. I mean, we have the figures from Eric, what it would be, how much would be marketing, how much would be allocated to infrastructure. I think we have to find a very valid use for that if we're going to go forward and, basically ask for city votes.
But what are we exactly asking for? I think it's very confusing.
This all sounds just so redundant to the Prop W thing that was literally just passed, like making Webster prettier, making, like city improvements. It's just like, it just seems so redundant.
But that was for parks.
Yeah, that was specific.
Yeah.
Right, but that's like talking about developing like the walkway and everything, like it would be more beneficial to have Webster's, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. So like, what does Webster envision for the next 10 years? The city of Webster.
Agreed.
What are
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
So I think, I mean, that's an important point to bring up because sometimes, you know, voters aren't always like super aware of the specificity of each, you know, time we come to them with a question of like, hey, can we spend a little money here? I mean, they think it might be like all in one, but I think what's really important to understand about Webster is, you know, our property taxes are high, right? But our businesses are the lifeblood. Our restaurants and businesses are a lifeblood of our community. And when we're investing in those, and then you go to voters and you say, like, you know, to clarify, that Prop W was for parks. This, if you have to, you know, come to voters to ask for something, this is for the vitality of our community, like the foundation of how things get done is businesses and restaurants. And I think too, the timing would kind of coincide with our comprehensive plan. And that whole process is unfolding. I think we have a report at the end of September from the firm who's doing our comp plan. So it kind of, you know, merges a little bit if, you know, if the timing works out of just kind of helping to make the argument for, you know, you all doing something to and go to the voters with some legitimacy.
That's a much faster turnaround than I thought we were gonna have on the strategic plan. I thought it was gonna take well over a year for them to go through.
It will, they're coming back to us with the report. It's like a 3-part process. So they're coming back to us with the report after all they've gathered, all the data, of from the first section, if you were in some of those meetings. And that I think is in September.
So can we, if we were to put before them and say, hey, the Business Development Commission, the city and everything is considering an economic development sales tax. And it would be approximately this much money a year. Is there anything in this list that would be like a priority list of some things that those funds could be used for that you've identified in our city? So like, we don't have to imagine it. We're paying a firm to imagine this for us as comprehensive, and they've interviewed everybody in the city. Or you know, as a sampling.
Yeah.
Is that they may have that over, you know, that umbrella, look, you know, that up.
And that vision.
Yeah, and that vision, and be able to guide us in an informed way on what they're hearing from our community at large.
I think we're stepping a little too forward. I think this is more of a council type discussion right there. I think our job is to recommend this is what we need in the city, and this is why we would like to go get that quarter cent, whatever, tax. You know, our job is not to go to the firm that's doing this. Our job is to say, you know, we need this here, we need that there, we need this there, and this is why we would like this money, and the council would go from there with it.
Yeah.
So, but for over 10 years though, this commission has said they wanted a one United Webster. And in this money is $280,000 a year that can be used towards that.
What does that look like when we are talking about one United? Like, I don't disagree with you. I just don't understand it. Does that mean we no longer have districts that pay separately, or?
No,
what exactly
it's like everything stays the same. And
So
now
wait,
there's
that's Old Webster keep paying more for other districts too. I'm so confused. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me just terminology real quick if I can. Districts, we have 3. I want to be, we should not use the term district at all for Zeta Dell or Yorkshire. Those are areas, business areas or commercial areas of the city. We have 3 districts. Your money in Old Webster can never be spent in another spot. So the Old Webster Fund is only Old Webster's, Crossroads is only Crossroads, Old Orchard's only Old Orchard. That's under the law. We can't take your.
I wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
So,
I was
so
very confused.
even all these options we talked about, those 3 districts can stay. Now there's a difference between their identity and their legal structure, right? You could still be identified as Old Webster. You may get rid of the district. Old Webster may decide we want to be a SID and change their structure, but still be the same entity, the same name and identity. So just to clarify for everyone, all these options can lay over the top, or they can replace what exists to give you a sense of that. So, but in terms of commercial areas, we have those 18 that are around, some very small, around the city that are areas, 3 of which have a district.
Okay.
And now, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you, Madam Chair, there, just to get everyone on the same terminology.
Oh, I think that's just, did that answer your question? Oh, Julia has a question too.
Can't the economic development tax just be for tourism, and then we'd have to just educate the community on why they should care about tourism, and then it would just get us more tourism dollars, and that would be the one Webster. I think people want one Webster messaging. Like, yes, keep the districts, but we want to just promote just Webster, explore Webster Groves. And so it wouldn't have to be as big as the pool, and Prop W in the parks. Could be smaller, and it could be easier to convince people to vote for it if it wasn't such a big tax. But I do think more money in order to promote Explore Webster Groves would be beneficial to everybody in Webster Groves. And then the districts on that can do their own thing.
I agree, and I think we just need to come up with an idea of what that money would be spent on.
Yep.
I think it's great.
Yeah, and the percentage allocations, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think to your question, when you asked what is the city's vision, I think from my perspective, as far as what does the public see, what do they connect with when they think about Webster? It is that right now I feel like everybody is siloed in their identity and their personality and what they are, whether it's are we the city of the arts, are we a big business place, what are we? So it's like kind of what you're saying, one Webster is not more so economic, it's more marketable of what does Webster identify with. And so when you guys are thinking about that and how to use these tax dollars, not necessarily it goes to this district or that district or that district, what can we do to make Webster as a whole more marketable and more enticing for the public and even the residents to want to engage with businesses? And so in my opinion, when you think about, like you said, where these tax dollars are going to be used for, right now, you guys are in a very unique space. I know we think about social media, but right now, businesses in the culinary space in Webster is taking on. Like, you have different STL Made, you have STL bucket lists. It's always in Webster.
Yeah.
And so that is what's driving people here, but also when they get here, what is their experience? And so I think when you're thinking about tourism, to her point, okay, if we want to focus on the tourist experience, that's where you start. And then what are the elements of that? Kind of like the SID, they broke it down to, what is it? Clean and experience, or this and that. What is your tourism thought? If you come into Webster and you're experiencing businesses, what are the different aspects of that you want to get? And then start there and allocate money that way, or create proposals to present to people and do it that way.
It's just so challenging because we're talking about tourism. And it's so funny because there are no hotels in Webster. There's no, like, there's one bed and breakfast, there's nowhere to stay. So it's like.
But also, is that not kind of
Local.
the personality
Is
of
that
Webster?
like, yeah, like, I guess, are we trying to target people that are taking day trips? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be targeting like people in New York. They're not gonna fly into Webster.
Oh, but that's not true.
Is that?
So in, with STL, what is it, Explore STL? So we participated, we put in, it's $150 a year, no big deal. But what they do is they put, we had people come, we had 2 friends meet, one was from Ohio, one was from Iowa. And they came into Maypop and we asked them, we're like, oh, how'd you find us? And they're like, oh, well, we went on to Pinterest and found the top 10 things to do in St. Louis and you all were on it. So we're like, who put that on Pinterest? Because it wasn't us. We went out there and it was Explore STL. So the idea that we're not marketing to tourists is actually not true. We
I
kind
think
of are.
when I think about Webster, especially when it comes to the businesses and restaurants here, no, I'm not coming to Webster just to stay the night in a hotel. But when I create my itinerary of where I want to explore St. Louis or Greater St. Louis, there's going to be a store, a restaurant, a coffee
We
shop.
had bus tours. come from Arkansas.
Really?
It's a bucket list item, and
Yeah,
I think we
we are,
should
yeah.
capitalize off of being a bucket list item.
So then do we focus on keeping the city charming and clean and safe and not,
That's the personality of Webster,
right?
charming and safe.
Mhm.
And
That goes
unique,
back to Tuesday.
you know, creative.
Yeah.
I'm gonna claim.
But, you know, like, so I don't know if in this, $280,000 from the Economic Development Commission could Stacy get the trolley that she's, mentioned for events and things like that, you know?
I love a trolley. Get the trolley.
I don't,
Trolley every day.
It was shut down at everything I sat at, so.
Oh, trolley 2025, let's go.
I got no time. I already signed up for stuff at the kids' school. It's behind me now.
I would just say overall, the focus should be about, and I'll just keep saying, what can this money be used for to make us more of a bucket list item than we already are?
can you help us with that vision and with that $280,000 in spends?
I have a good idea. What if that money is then returned to the property owners for like exterior improvements of their buildings and hiring an artist to paint a mural on the side of your business, you know, getting patio furniture outside, painting your building, like they already have grants available for painting your building in only 2 of the districts, but that's not available for everyone.
I will, so,
You know what I mean?
for example, and this is just an idea, when you think about, we have money, how do we use it?
That's the city.
And everybody kind of has equal opportunity to consider. In Nashville, we have what's called participatory budgeting, and I'm not suggesting participatory budgeting because it's such a large scale. But the structure of it is, we have money allocated in the budget, we're gonna take it, and we're gonna make it to where. For example,
Can we also know what you're saying, please?
So for example, you guys have the thousands that you have. And you said you're gonna use that money that we bring in to be able to allow for businesses to use it for infrastructure. So one of the things you would do is, once you have that money, you would allocate a certain amount to grant funding for businesses to use, and you can put it into different sections, you can do it different ways, but you don't have to use all of it, you can use half of it for whatever, and the other half for business development. And so there are ways that you can use it in a way that everyone kind of gets a piece of the pie, or at least have the people opportunity to it, but also use the money for more operational things at the same time. And so when you're selling it to businesses on why we should do this, there's their incentive to say, okay, I'll have people to equal opportunity to also be able to benefit from this, other than just doing something.
Madam Chair, I'm good.
I just have a quick question. So, because I feel like this might be the right table that I should bring this up at. So we're talking about adding all these new things, going and requesting money. What is our overall idea of what we want to see Webster, how we want Webster to enhance and come together? If you drive the district right now, it is pretty bad. It does not look very well kept, at least Old Webster. I'm sorry that I don't know what Old Orchard looks like right now, or Crossroads, but our weed situation, our sidewalks, grates in the road, cones around the fire hydrant, street lamps. I heard about street lamps at the taxing district meeting the other day. I just have a hard time getting behind anything brand new until we fix the issues we already currently have. And my question is, are these issues happening because we don't have enough money for upkeep? Is that something we should be requesting for? I'm with the Prop W, with voting money going to the parks, is that taking away from money or from them working in the district, parks working in the district? I
was just gonna say the same thing, because I drive down Lockwood every day, and every day there's Webster Parks workers weeding the beds outside of Mary Queen of Peace. And it's like, why are you spending so much resources weeding, in a place you just drive through and you're not focusing, the business districts don't look good. The streets are terrible, the sidewalks are embarrassing, it's like,
I'd be curious how many,
ask,
I can respond to this.
Right.
ask property owners, we already
we-
pay so much.
We went over this on
I can
Tuesday.
respond to this.
Yeah,
Over the last 8 months, there's been a change. Parks does not maintain the streets that you all are talking about. It's been given to Public Works. The problem is, I think I have 5 people, 6 people for streets. We are actively trying to hire. As you all know, as business people, everybody has problems attracting talent. And we are too. It's very difficult. People don't want to mow. They don't want to do manual labor anymore. It doesn't matter how good the wages are. So we have hired 2 people this week. 1 person should be starting. And we're actively trying to, what I have asked is to do a collaborative effort with Parks to address exactly what you're talking about, the sidewalk with. No, not looking at individual districts, just looking at the streets. We received a list, and I was very appreciative of it, with pictures from Dan at the last meeting that I attended. So I cannot answer you why Parks is doing what they do, but I can say to you that there's now a push because we have less people across the board. That does not mean that the citizens of Webster Groves expect less services.
right, I mean, this has been going on for a long time though, they're not picking up the trash receptacles, and then how do you introduce? I don't know, it just doesn't make sense.
I was gonna just ask if the money's there and it's just a labor issue, not being able to hire employees. Have you guys considered subcontracting out to landscape maintenance
We're
contractors?
considering a whole lot of things.
I know a lot of other municipalities do that.
Yeah,
So-
everything from subcontracting to a short-term resolve is possibly hiring people for a day.
Mhm.
Sit them outside, go weed, go trim, go prune. Also looking at opportunities to utilize workers. You know, again, she's a month old. I'm 6 weeks old.
Sure.
So I don't, you know.
yes, but
it's-
this has been going on. This has been going on for a while. Like I said to you the other day.
Years.
I
This has
understand, but
got
I-
nothing to do with you.
Like-
I'm saying, I'm trying
Yeah.
I'm saying what I can't fix
You're walking into the
yesterday.
pile.
I can only tell you what we are
Okay.
trying to do
Appreciate
going forward.
Yeah, no.
So, but we do have a limited amount of time to get through the rest of our agenda. Do we want to push this into a different thing or a subcommittee or taking a look at?
I
the
think
economic
that's
development?
fine. I have confidence that she's going to take this on from our conversation on Tuesday and get rolling with the concerns that we're speaking of.
I
right
think
here.
what's, you know, and even as business owners, we know this is a rapidly changing environment still. As far as like labor and wages and trying to get things done. So I feel for you. That is not an easy position to be in. All right, so did we come up with a decision, Julia, on whether or not we're gonna try to have some sort of subcommittee meeting before the coffee this summer?
I think I at least owe it to the people that are currently on the subcommittee to do a follow-up to let them know what we found and that see if they're also interested in this, looking into the economic sales tax.
Yeah, we could kind of we could let them tell us what they want, you know, like kind of get their feel for, yeah.
And
Okay.
I'll still mention to them that different districts or areas, even if you're not a district, can explore your own CID model, and then I'll report back to you guys of what that group said.
Okay.
Julie, can I suggest just real quick? I think one of the things that may be helpful for Webster Groves, if you guys want to look at, is, and I'm willing to help. I know Tierra would be willing. Just the basic roadmap, not in Gilmore Bell speak, but from Webster Groves, our brand. If you're interested in having a new district, I'll tell you, Stacy, the city does not recommend having the districts like the 3 that are now. That's the old model. Getting people to vote for a property tax is just not going to happen, right? The model of a SID is the likely model that people are going to go towards and for. And so I would say to have that, how do you create that type of document, or at least starting point, maybe a helpful product to come out of this whole thing.
Got it.
Great. Any new business? That was a lot of new business. Any more?
Do we want to give Dave Buck, did you
Yeah.
have something to say? I mean, we don't have
Yeah,
visitor
but
comments on here.
Not now. Yeah, this, you've been here a long time about, I'll later, and I'll hit some of you individually, but not as a group, so. It's good, thanks.
You're
I just wanna say, the Sylvie D's ice cream place has like totally transformed the corner. There's people walking all the time over there. I mean, it's so fun to see. It's just exciting what just one shot, one
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
coffee brings the people to a spot. I mean,
I also like the way the facade was opened up.
yes.
I think that creates a nice dynamic there too.
Oh, it just gives you a safe place to bring your kid, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we can go and sit there and play and don't feel like a car is gonna run you over down Big Bend or Elm and,
It's always positive.
yeah, no, it's just, as someone who's lived in Webster for, their whole life, it's like really exciting to see when that kind of stuff happens. And I know that everyone in Webster is so excited when this new businesses come up and everyone is happy to support. So it's exciting. So we should celebrate it.
I hosted last birthday party there.
I saw those pictures. It's so cute.
Any other new business that anybody wants? No? Okay. Business district updates? Old Webster, anybody have any updates?
Man, I keep this in my car and I was gonna bring it in to say what we talked about. And then I don't, and then I have to turn to Fran and be like, what are we talking about?
We talked about street dance.
Street dance. Yeah, it was successful.
It was successful. We will have to be looking for somebody else possibly to run street dance. That was
Right.
discussed. Okay.
Dan and Joe are stepping away.
Mhm.
Anything else coming up?
We have the Jazz Fest is the next thing. That's it.
Any girls night outs?
Yeah, but those are trade association. We
Yeah.
have a sidewalk sale from association. And we have girls night out.
Anything from Crossroads, Julia?
Crossroads is chugging along. Ice cream opened. We've got other new businesses that are starting their construction, so we're excited about that. And we are also pursuing the CID model, mostly tied to that streetscape project we have upcoming. So we don't get some special assessment, or I don't know, we're looking into that. So not a lot of progress yet, but we are there.
How's the
And
cornhole tournament?
cornhole, I think it was pretty good. I don't think it was as big as pickleball, but it was still pretty good. And yeah, it's just fun to have action, but Crossroads is good.
Old Orchard, do we have any report from Old Orchard?
We don't have a report. I know they have, we met and we did discuss, they're working on their, getting their association, Merchants and Business Association, back up in good standing with the law and such, so that they can move forward with that. They have gazebo series, which starts, Fran, in a month or so? July? So,
August and September, excuse me.
so we have a month. So they are on their way.
Who is the head of the business association for,
I wouldn't say that there really is one yet. The commission, well, they have to identify, in order to be registered with the state, you have to say who your president is and et cetera, et cetera. They haven't put names to those positions.
okay. City council update?
Yeah, I want to share that we had an incredible Juneteenth celebration. And that was just, it grows every year, and there was a food truck and good music, good vibes, all the things. It was a lot of fun. Our new chief started this week, so that's newsworthy and exciting. The mayor and I have been meeting with the high school. And they're building a civics program, and we're trying to figure out a way to build a stronger bridge between City Hall and our young people. And so there's lots of fertile soil there to explore. And you know, like social media, that's what we need to do. They are working on a project-based learning model where the students can identify with the city, like something that they can work on for a semester or a whole year. So that's like really cool. So that's on the horizon. Like I mentioned, our comprehensive plan program, the firm is kind of sitting with the data right now and working through all of that, sifting through all of that to come up with some recommendations for us. So that's the next step. And that I think is in September, that we'll be hearing that report. And something I did as a citizen, but I thought was really cool because Novel Neighbor was a great partner of my sister and I moderated a book discussion last night for the anxious generation. And so if anybody is curious about what we can do to create healthier futures for kids in social media, it's a great book. I strongly recommend it, and thanks to the Novel Neighbor for partnering with us on that. And that's all I have. Thank you a lot.
Okay, is there anything else that anybody wanted to bring up? Our next
If I
meeting?
2 seconds, if I can. I just am real proud. The chamber is launching its first women's networking group on August the 7th, and that's going to be sponsored by the SBA. We're going to be introducing, how to become a certified women-owned business, loans that are available specifically to women-owned and founded businesses. And that's going to be, the backdrop is going to be at Ceranos, and we'll be promoting that starting right after the 4th of July.
What's the date on that?
August 7th.
August the 7th, it's a Wednesday. It's going to be from 11:30 to 1. It's a luncheon.
Gary, can you get us that information at City, and I'll have Tiara work it into our newsletters?
You bet. Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, with losing Mara, what is the new planning and development like structure for new business? They just go straight to air?
New business is still, that process is still there. I will work with them obviously on their business license side. And then Ms. Tyler and the planning staff, we've talked through that, and they'll still go through that same process in terms of opening a new business, but in a key concept is Ms. Tyler and myself, so.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
One more quick thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the chamber put on a lovely luncheon that Pam Bliss and I attended to talk about just our political landscape, and it was great lunch.
Okay. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 25th. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, we at taxing had to
Right.
are in July. I was just curious, do you think that we might need to reschedule?
Will everybody be able to make July 25th?
I will not be here.
Right, this is what happened, and then all of a sudden, we had 4 people left that couldn't.
No,
make it.
I'll be out of the state.
Yeah, I will be gone as well.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here, that's fine.
Yep.
That's enough. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a quorum.
Sounds like it. All right, July 25th it is. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Approved? Anybody?
I don't know.
Everyone, stick around.
I need to raise my hand and hope that I get it right. You know what I mean? All right.
They all.
I'll tell them. Bye.